Alright, hey everyone. Today we're going to be exploring the Upper East Side of Manhattan again. Today is September 20th, 2025, and it is the very beginning of the United Nations UN General Assembly. The major political talks will be going on all next week, so the city is absolutely packed. There's going to be intense amounts of street traffic, road closures, so if you're thinking about traveling to New York City, specifically driving into the city next week, maybe you should rethink your travel plans. In any event, the energy in the city is amazing today. And before we start our walk to the Upper East Side of Manhattan, I want to take a look inside the flagship Fifth Avenue Apple Store. As you all know, the iPhone 17 has launched, as well as the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the iPhone Air. And I've been noticing a few things that are quite interesting that we should be paying attention to. I'm going to make a statement. I think this iPhone launch will be one of the most successful iPhone launches in Apple history. If you've been watching the news, if you've been on social media like X or Instagram or Facebook, I've never seen this much excitement, this much hype, and as many conversions, I would say, of people getting the phone immediately. So I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about by going inside the Fifth Avenue Apple Store, because I've never, in all of my years being in New York, which is forever, seen it this packed. The people, I just have counted, just offhand, 76 people. I was in the Apple Store for an hour, just observing, and I counted 76 people walk out with a new phone in just the hour that I was there. So let's keep an eye on this, because Apple on Friday, ticker symbol AAPL, was up about 3%, and we're in spitting distance of new all-time record highs for Apple. It is my prediction that we're going to hit new all-time record highs in short order, and I believe the street believes that this is also going to be one of the most successful iPhone launches. So the all-time record high for Apple was $259.75. We closed the day yesterday $245.50 with massive volume coming in. I believe on Apple's next earnings report, Tim Cook, the CEO, is going to announce that this was one of the most successful iPhone launches ever. The main flagship Apple Store sits right outside of the General Motors building, or the GM building. At one point, Harry Macklow owned this building. Unfortunately, you have all the scaffolding that's cloaked the building, but as you can see, there's so much hype for it. People are taking photos in front of the Pro here. On the other side, you have the iPhone Air logo, AIR. We'll quickly check it out. But the inside, it's almost like you can't even move in there. It's so busy. So let's go ahead and go in and explore the Apple Store. Obviously, this is anecdotal data, but it's very, very important to kind of do this analysis to gauge consumer sentiment and to gauge the overall hype around the product. And again, I'd like to reiterate, never in all of my years have I seen Apple this packed, the Apple Store. So every single table, I'll try to get a bird's eye view here and zoom in, is just flooded with customers. And it extends all the way to the other side of the store. I mean, look at how packed this is. And not only here, I was in the Apple store today in Grand Central. I was on the one on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And it's pretty much all the same. Take one quick walk around and then we'll head out. I mean, let me know in the comments, am I wrong, or are you guys seeing the same exact thing? The excitement and the hype around the new iPhone. I've never seen this at any other launch. Done a great job on the interior design here. And you can see it's not just people looking around. I mean, this is another gentleman with an Apple bag, just got a new phone. People are purchasing these products. Definitely feels a little lighter than previous generations. All right, let's go ahead and explore the Upper East Side. I just thought it was important to show everybody because we have a few interesting things happening locally here in New York City and honestly, just across the entire United States of America. We'll go out this way. So I was reading a Wall Street Journal article this morning, and a statistic that I read really stuck out to me. And it's that in Q2, we just got the consumer spending data, and in Q2 of 2025, the top 10% of Americans accounted for 49.2% of all spending in the economy. I'll say that again as we're looking outside over at the beautiful Plaza Hotel, as well as the Steinway Tower. The top 10% of income earners in America accounted for 49.2% of all spending in the economy. which leads me to believe, and I think AI is really going to exacerbate this, but there's a lot of Americans that are being left out of this monstrous wealth creation in the US stock market. And I think this trend is going to accelerate. You're going to see the wealthiest of Americans continue to get wealthier and drive the economy, while the bottom percent unfortunately gets left out. Like you see here, even more people walking out with Apple shopping bags. So people are upgrading to the new phone. So for me, I think it's so important just to get the message out there that you got to participate, right? The reason why the wealthy in America continue to get wealthier is because they have ownership in companies. They own equities, right? They own real estate, and these things appreciate over time. So I just thought that was an interesting statistic. Let's go ahead and head up by the Sherry Netherland Hotel, and then we'll also head up by the Pierre. These are 2 5-star hotels here in New York City that are absolutely packed for the United Nations General Assembly. Sherry Netherland is a beautiful, beautiful hotel. You can see the main awning right here. Unfortunately, I have all the scaffolding up, but one of my favorite books of all time on the market is this book right here. I was actually just listening to it earlier. It's called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, that was based on the life of Jesse Livermore, who would frequent the Sherry Netherland Hotel, but he unfortunately took his life in the cloakroom on Thanksgiving Day. So if you're interested in the financial markets, that's one of my favorite books of all time. From many of the rooms at the Sherry Netherland, you have these breathtaking views overlooking the gorgeous Plaza Hotel, the Steinway Tower, 220 Central Park South, and even this view of the Crown Building right here, which is now the Amman, New York. Fun fact, Jesse Livermore used to have an office in that building. But as we head up into the ultra-wealthy neighborhood that is the Upper East Side, on the corner of East 60th Street and 5th Avenue, you're going to see the Metropolitan Club. The Metropolitan Club is one of the most, I would say, powerful and sought-after social clubs in the city. It sits at 1 East 60th Street, and it has this beautiful marble facade. And then behind it in the distance is the Pierre Hotel. Zoom in on it. The Metropolitan Club was designed in Italian Renaissance style by McKim Mead and White. By the way, McKim Mead and White is the same firm who did the original Penn Station. The club whose first president was J.P. Morgan, It was organized in 1891. And it has this, I mean, the facade is this beautiful marble. It's very, very nice. You'll come to notice that a lot of the very wealthy and established places in New York City, you'll have a few names tied to them, right? The JP Morgans, the Vanderbilts, the Fricks, the Astors, the New York socialites that really built New York City into what it is today. Right next to the Metropolitan Club, you have the Pierre Hotel, which is a great property right on Central Park and Fifth Avenue. This is 795 Fifth Avenue. Unfortunately, you do have scaffolding all over this as well, but they try to do as good of a job as possible with prettying it up with all of this decorative floral. This is the bar and restaurant at the Pierre. Let's check out some of the prices. Honestly, not bad. Here you can see the outdoor dining setup here at the Pierre. I like what they did over here. This is one of the very few outdoor dining setups that I actually like in New York City. I think they've done a pretty good job here. Very nice. See, a lot of these buildings are very, very old. So the city, I believe it's local law 10. Apologize if that's a misspeak, but it requires these buildings to do mandatory facade work every so often for safety measure. One of my favorite things about the Upper East Side are the Gilded Age mansions. We were inside the Frick collection, which was the former home of Henry Clay Frick, an American industrialist. Syracuse University here. Beautiful property, by the way, look at that. We'll make a left here on Madison Avenue. You know, before we do that, I want to take one slight detail for everybody and take you to one of the most exclusive addresses in all of New York City, which is 520 Park Avenue. One of the things I love about 520 Park is that every single floor in the building is its dedicated unit. It's one of the many buildings that make up New York City's Billionaires Row. And there's been a lot of interesting deals in that building, particularly with private equity billionaire Orlando Bravo. Orlando Bravo is the founder and CEO of Thoma Bravo. They're a private equity firm that specializes in enterprise software deals. And I believe one of the most recent deals that they've done was a cybersecurity firm called Darktrace. In any event, Orlando Bravo purchased a unit at 520 Park Avenue and is now in litigation with the developers. The developers being the Zeckendorf developers, who, by the way, are arguably one of the most, I would say reputationally at least, best developers in New York City. If you've ever heard of 15 Central Park West, that's a building right next to 1 Central Park West, which is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. 15 Central Park West, the nickname is the Limestone Jesus Building. And it was completed during the depths of the 2008 financial crisis, but still, even during the depths of the 2008 financial crisis, it achieved a near full sellout at record price per square foot prices. That fact kind of goes along with the fact that we stated earlier in the broadcast today that in Q2 of 2025, 49.2% of all consumer spending in the United States was done by the top 10% of income earners. So even if the economy is horrible, there's always going to be a bull market for the ultra wealthy. Here's the building right now, 520 Park. Massive full floor units. Some of the higher floors have these balconies that overlook Central Park. And in order to build the building as tall as they did, the developers had to purchase the air rights from the Christ Church, which is right here. We're looking at it. Now, the architect for 15 Central Park West is Robert A.M. Stern, who is one of the really most famous architects in New York City. Robert A.M. Stern also did 220 Central Park South, which was developed by Vornado, which is a publicly traded REIT, R-E-I-T, Real Estate Investment Trust. In any event, that litigation with the Zeckendorf developers was apparently they didn't disclose to Orlando Bravo that Extel, who's another developer in the city that's responsible for pioneering Billionaires Row, they own a plot of land on Madison Avenue that they're going to build another luxury apartment building on, and it's set to obstruct some of the views of Orlando Bravo's apartment. So Orlando allegedly, again, is trying to get out of the deal because he claims the Zeckendorf developers knew Extel's plans to build that tower that would obstruct his views, and he would have never went through with the deal if that was the case. In any event, you could see that beautiful brushed limestone facade. Lots of similar hints to 15 Central Park West. I mean, this is some of the most exclusive real estate on planet Earth we're looking at right now. And engraved in the limestone, you could see Zeckendorf Development LLC. Architect Robert A.M. Stern Architects. Anywhere in the city where you see limestone cast facades, particularly on developments like this, ultra-luxury condominiums, more than not, it's going to be Robert A.M. Stern. From 220 Central Park South, the Vornado development, to 15 Central Park West, which is obviously the limestone Jesus building, Robert A.M. Stern was tapped for those two projects. But look at the detail on the fixtures too. I really, really love the fixtures on the building. All right, let's get back on Park Avenue and we'll continue on northbound. You can see a lot of the traffic backed up, mainly because anywhere you see a luxury 5-star hotel, more than likely the entire street is going to be blocked off because of all the diplomats that are in the neighborhood. If you go to the Lotte Palace, the New York Palace, that's all blocked off near Park Avenue. Where else? Oh, by the JW Marriott Essex House, that's all blocked off too. The JW Marriott Essex House is where President Joe Biden used to stay. That was his favorite hotel in the city. So every time the president was in New York, the Secret Service and the NYPD would have that totally blocked off, as well as the Park Hyatt and 50 Central Park South, which is where the Korean diplomats stay. This is now East 61st Street.
But you, I think I see your face.
Check out the Pierre Hotel from here. Oops. If I zoom in, you can see how the top is green, and that's because it has a copper top on the roof. Very unique. This is the Lowe's Regency Hotel on Park Avenue.
Back.
Sort of doing a post-analysis on all of those statistics, essentially with the wealthiest 10% accounting for about half of consumer spending in the economy, which is essentially economic output. It just really goes to show the importance of being able to move into the investor class. I think that's more important than ever, but unfortunately they really don't teach that in schools and in the like, just the importance of graduating to the investor class. And you don't even need to have a lot of money, by the way. You know, if you can put away $500 a month, a few $100 a month, and just invest it, that's going to compound out over time. Some of the wealthiest families that I know in the city really all have one thing in common. And it's that they are in the investor class. Particularly with a lot of the ultra high net worth families I know. The one common characteristic that most of them have is that they have generational wealth that is built through generations of investing and then passing that down through generations to your family. Compound interest, if you understand it, is so powerful. If you think about an ultra high net worth family, let's say you're worth $25 million, even if you can just get a very, very modest 5% yield on your $25 million, right? So if you didn't take any risk, you just put it in a money market fund where interest rates are today, if it could spit off roughly 5%, what's 5% of $25 million bucks? 1,250,000? Something like that? So you're essentially making over $1 million a year before you get up and go to work, before you do anything with the business. Your base, just from your wealth, spits off about $1 million a year. Also, if you're an entrepreneur or something like that, and you're thinking about, you know, maybe creating a product or a service, or, you know, who you're going to sell to, knowing that data is so important. If you know that the top 10% of income earners are spending 50% of the money, well, then maybe you want to make a product or service that services those people, right? It expands your total addressable market, or your TAM. In any event, we'll now take a quick detour and explore these gorgeous townhomes here on New York City's Upper East Side. And as you can see across the street, tons of security, police officers. Because in many of these neighborhoods, you know, diplomats and world leaders will own or stay here, or perhaps it's even one of the consulates. If you haven't seen my video of Beekman Place, I would definitely suggest going and watching it, because there's also a lot of history in terms of the ultra wealthy families in New York that has to do with Beekman Place, in addition to the diplomats, world leaders, and the like. I would say Beekman Place and Sutton Place, you have a lot of that demographic, if you will. Wow, these are really stunning. This is kind of a cool shot, because you have these townhomes, and in the background, let me see if I could zoom in on that for everybody. That is the very top of 520 Park Avenue. Interesting juxtaposition. All right, everybody, we're going to pop back on Madison Avenue here. As we push a little bit further into the Upper East Side of Manhattan, There's also a lot of very, very nice hotels on the Upper East Side, excuse me. The Mark being one of them. This is the Hermes flagship store on the corner of East 63rd Street. And there's another great shot of the Pierre. If we zoom in on that building, the one that looks very modern and new, that's the brand new Giorgio Armani Residences. Unfortunately, he did pass away recently. I think maybe a week or two ago, actually. But all up and down Madison Avenue, you're going to have these beautiful boutiques, different shops. This is headed northbound towards East 64th Street. To the left of us, you have the Bottega Veneta store. And there it is. That is the Giorgio Armani Residences.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful building. If you watched our episode from yesterday, we were exploring Fifth Avenue, and the flagship Versace store on Fifth Avenue is now Kim Kardashian's store, Skims, and Versace flagship have now moved to Madison Avenue, right here.
You're almost at that.
Giorgio Armani Residences, New York City. The exact address is 760 Madison Avenue. Here's a pretty unique view looking all the way down Madison. And a good shot of 432 Park. If you look at Unit 9, right here at 760 Madison Avenue, it's a 4-bedroom, 4.5-bathroom apartment, and it's on the market for $32,800,000. And there's another interesting shot of 520 Park. That's one of the things I love about just walking around the city, is there's so many interesting vantage points to view some of the most interesting buildings in the city. Particularly if you ever walk around Midtown East, there's so many places where you can see just these amazing shots of the Chrysler Building. This is the Armani restaurant, 760B. It's becoming a very interesting trend, the branded residences. It's really been taking the Miami market by storm. Take a quick detour looking over towards Central Park. We'll check out some more of these stunning townhomes. Could only imagine sitting in that room with the skylights right there. Many of these have their own private driveways. I believe this is the Jewish Cultural Center. Take a look at the doors. Stunning. Religious School of Congregation Emmanuel. Wow, everyone, look at the architecture on this building. Oh my gosh, this is so gorgeous. And it looks like they may have just done a facade restoration here, mainly because all the limestone and the brick looks to be restored. The Lotos Club. Wow. I really take a liking to that wooden door there. Looks like French Renaissance. Designed in the French Renaissance style by Richard Howland Hunt in 1900 as the residence of William J. Can't read the last name. The mansion became, in 1947, the home of the Lotos Club, founded in 1870 and devoted to literature and the arts. Wow. It's a beautiful building. And look at the moldings on the ceiling. I love it. Looks great. You see, there's just so many things in the city to explore and understand. It's almost impossible to do even in a single lifetime. That's one of the things I love about New York City is the volume of history that is here. This is Ulysses S. Grant. Oh, I forgot about this. I completely forgot this was here. 18th President of the United States, 1869 to 1877. General-in-Chief commanding the armies of the United States, 1864 to 69. First General in the United States Army, 1866. Lived in a house on this site from 1881 to 1885. Here he spent his last moments writing his personal memories. And here you have Central Park, right on 5th Avenue. You can see that sun setting. And right here, this building, that's Central Park Tower, 217 West 57th Street. It's the tallest building on New York City's Billionaires Row. It was developed by Extel. It stands 1,550 feet tall. But the building right here, this is another Extel building. It's 157 West 57th Street, or 157. The building was also developed by Gary Burnett and Extel, and it has two components, one of which being the luxury residences at 157, but the other component is the Park Hyatt Hotel. That building stands just over 1,000 feet, and Michael Dell owns the coveted penthouse at the top, as well as Bill Ackman owns the Winter Garden unit. And then this pencil-thin tower is the Steinway Tower, 111 West 57th Street, developed by JDS and Shop Architects for the architecture. It was built on the site of the original Steinway Piano & Sons. Now that I've been walking around the Upper East Side a little bit more, I could get used to living here. Walk outside your apartment, you can enjoy Central Park. I love it. I absolutely love it here. This is now the corner of East 67th Street. Beautiful Central Park frontage here. Oh, everyone, yeah, check this out. So you got to take my advice, and I know I keep hammering you on this, but please come check out the Frick collection. The original Frick Mansion is now open after a multi-year renovation. If you want to check out a tour inside the Frick Mansion, I was able to film a walking tour inside. Go check it out in our previous videos, but you have to go there in person. You just have to go there in person. It's the original home of Henry Clay Frick, the American industrialist, and some of the most beautiful architecture I've seen in a home. Wow, these are really stunning.
No, sometimes I don't, I'm being honest. Seriously.
I love the vines that are covering the home here. Here's another townhouse for sale by Sirhant. Let's make a note of this because I want to try to get you guys in here. And we have a very good relationship with Ryan. My boss is very, very good friends with him. So maybe we'll arrange a time for us to take you guys inside. East 67th Street. Gorgeous building. This entire block is a little unreal.
No, going now, we're left now.
Wow, look at the entrance here.
Call the police department or the fire.
I didn't even know the store existed. They didn't Trevor to say like, Mom, let's get it going. And I was like, okay, put it on my list. So I saw it in Dubai. And then I'm like, this is good. Yes. It's like, where are you? I'm in Dubai. Where are we walking? It is really nice. Trevor loves the loin.
This is now East 68th Street and Madison. This is a very unique shot here. Alright everyone, well if you enjoyed that walking tour of the Upper East Side of Manhattan, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and as always, we will see you in the next one, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.